Hello, we're live. It's great to see you. Hello, my friends. We are going to watch the first few hours of The Thing Expanded. Tomorrow is the flash sale, the digital flash sale, starting on the 7th of May, running through, I think, till the 20th. All of the information for that is in the description. And my link, so you can get a little discount as well if you want to buy the digital version. It is the film that almost broke John Carpenter. Bless him. I always remember that story that I read. Guillermo del Toro was, I think they're having lunch together, and he was saying like, oh, it's amazing how it has found its audience all these years later and how people love it and it's so revered. And John Carpenter's response was like, where were you? You know, where were you at the time? Well, they're all here now. They're all in this documentary. We're going to watch some clips from it. I'm going to start some clips from it in a moment. And we're going to have a really good route through. I'm going to watch the first couple of hours. We'll see how we get on with that. I want to give you some... I'll talk a little bit about what I see in that. I'll try not to give direct quotes and things like that. I want you to experience this for yourself. But also, just a reminder, anything that I put on the channel that, as a code or an affiliate link or anything like that, not that there's a lot of them, it has to be something that I really am interested in. I'm going to get the full physical pack of this because I just think it's a great documentary. I recently watched the Aliens one, the new version of that documentary, and I've been following these guys create a VC right from the start, right when they first made their things, and there hasn't been many things of theirs that I haven't found really, really interesting. And they've also inspired a lot of other creatives to make documentaries on things that are interesting, including me. I've made a short documentary myself about Troll 2 with Darren Ewing, and that's currently in film festivals at the moment. So I like the idea of people just going out and talking about the things they love, but doing a really good job about it. And now they're at the point where they're getting everybody interviewed who, well, they've always done a good job of this, to be honest, finding the real people, the people who actually were involved and the people who actually made these. So to start with, let's just watch some clips. If it has any dates and things like that in it, ignore those. Those are from when it was originally being promoted. But I just thought it'd be good to give you a few minutes taster of what it's like, and then we'll start watching the screener together and I'll give you my initial thoughts. So strap yourself in if you have to. You don't need to. And I will see you shortly on the other side after these clips.
The Thing was my first studio movie.
This thing doesn't want to show itself. It wants to hide inside an imitation.
Well, I think it's a far better sci-fi concept than anything else I've ever seen.
We gotta burn the rest of them.
Incredible filmic, artistic precision.
We couldn't foresee what impact it would have.
It's inspired me to want to make movies.
Just a little ahead of its time, maybe.
I mean, this shook up a lot of kids, man.
Okay!
Here we are talking about The Thing as the masterpiece it is.
You know you're in front of a classic.
I don't think you can find a more pure parable of our times.
Trust's a tough thing to come by these days.
I thought we needed to hit the idea and the themes harder.
What if we're wrong about him?
Why think we're wrong?
Makeup effects was thrust into the forefront.
This hasn't been touched.
Oh, that looked cool.
That was all Rob stuff. He had a very fertile imagination.
I was just knocked out by this.
Nobody trusts anybody now. We're all very tired.
I was surrounded by really wonderful actors.
The chemistry, it was palpable.
I just want to get up to my shack and get drunk.
That's McCready.
12 men are going to be killed in awful ways.
I had to embrace the darkness. End of the world stuff.
Movies about paranoia, suspense, thriller, and certainly talk about it.
Chariots of the gods, man.
Is he already the Thing?
We never really explained anything.
I've never told this story.
Why are they shooting at that dog?
Who got the blood supply?
Who are you really?
You gotta be kidding.
This is a great line. It's my feel-good movie.
Another one of the great jump scares.
I'm gonna be a badass.
Maybe the best directing Carpenter's ever done.
Every now and then a film comes along, and if you're a part of it, you're just goddamn lucky. But it's a powerful movie. I know this. I recognize this.
We're gonna find out who's who.
If you have any appreciation for science fiction, you're gonna like that movie.
First goddamn week of winter.
I am the writer, director of The Thing Expanded. It's the ultimate documentary, telling the story of The Thing in unbelievable amounts of detail, depth, passion, heart, all the things I genuinely feel for this film.
Nothing wrong with this Norwegian, physiologically anyway.
We're going inside, we're ripping away all the viscera, we're taking things out, we're weighing them, we're looking at things under the microscope. It really is a deep dive analysis on every single thing that you can take out of this film.
I don't know what the hell's in there. It's weird and pissed off, whatever it is.
Carpenter really knows that his audience is smart, and he does not condescend. So he'll create an environment where the audience is involved and the audience is questioning what's going on. And that's the whole point.
Audiences want to know who survived, who's the human at the end. And I'm not telling them. And that's what's kept this movie alive.
I think that's important to what this documentary is. It's a biography of everybody in it. I like to think of it as hanging out with these people, and you get to know them as you go along. Yeah, Dave, I know what Dave's all about. I know what Richard Masseur's all about. I know what John's gonna be like. Oh, here's Kurt. He's gonna tell a story, he's gonna tell a joke.
All right, if you say so, I'll wear that sombrero in a helicopter. Okay, fine.
Humans love concrete explanations, they love concrete threats. And when something is as intangible as the alien and the thing, it doesn't even have a name. We don't know where this thing came from. We don't really know what it wants. We just know that it takes you over and it can replicate you and other biological life perfectly.
I would say that The Thing in this day and age has become more than a cult classic. It's just a classic. It's iconic. It's up there in the top 5 best movies in terms of sci-fi or horror in history.
The Thing is one of those great films that stays relevant. It reads its time.
The amount of fan theories derived from The Thing is innumerable. Where does the alien come from? Was it the original pilot of the UFO that crashes? Who's the shadow on the wall when the dog goes in the room? Who's the thing at the end?
That's what this documentary is. It is that conversation you want to have with everybody.
I just cannot believe any of this voodoo bullshit.
I would be thrilled to be a part of this thing.
This is an intimate experience for a fan of film. This is something where anyone who loves films, loves documentaries, and wants to be part of this process can really be on board.
It's a love story that we're telling here. And I hope that at the end of the film, that you'll sit down and go, right, I'm gonna put The Thing on now and watch it again. And it'll be a different film.
Well, if that hasn't set you up for wanting to watch it, I don't know what will. So I've got the screener set up here. I'm going to press play on it now. I'm going to talk you through some of it. Don't worry, I'm not going to spoil it and ruin it for you. I might mention some of the names and some of my initial thoughts. You know, I love this film. I love 99% of everything about this film. I'm a big dog lover, so there's a few little moments that I'm not a big fan of. But it's the first film I ever watched with my dog, unbelievably, when she was a puppy. I remember her. And I remember when the dogs are howling, she started she started howling too, and she never howls. I don't think I've ever heard a howl since. But I did hear that they would stir those dogs up for real to make them do that, which was quite sad. But other than that, everything else, 99.9% of the film, I absolutely love. So the film started, we've got a clip here. Obviously, the great man himself, John Carpenter. I love John Carpenter. It's hard to say if this is my favourite John Carpenter film because I have so many favourites. I think Assault on Precinct 13 is maybe my favourite. I was brought up with the old Pork Chop Express. They Live, one of the greatest which is one of the longest punch-ups of all time. So many things. I think In the Mouth of Madness is one that I've come to as I've got older. I've loved it more and more. I think it's a great film. I do read Sutter Kane. So yeah, we've got starting off with Siskel and Ebert, but like people dismissing it, and Stephen Colbert, the Colbert Report. But he's a massive fan, I believe. He's a massive fan. Now, in Manchester, I may have mentioned this before, but in Manchester, one of the events I went to, they had props that were just left in the snow that people had gone to, fans had gone to and collected, and then they were on show. I'll have to try and find those pictures somewhere. And the guys who had it, they were also dressed up with the frosty beards and stuff. That was so cool. And here's Kurt Russell. What a great get that was to get him. That's what sold me really more than anything, was because I don't think I'd ever heard him talk about it in detail. Don't you love snowy settings as well? I just think they're great. I love very specific settings of places like on a train, under the sea, in the snow. Like, you know what you're getting. It's almost like a bottle episode of a TV show where you're trapped in a certain setting. I love that. Like in a spaceship, whatever it is. It's just like an isolated place, a specific place. I love it. Interesting having Eli Roth. I feel like Eli Roth, easy for me to say, is probably someone who is on so many, has his own history of horror and all that kind of thing. And I don't know if his breadth of knowledge when it comes to horror is very... It's good, don't get me wrong. And maybe it's because I'm British. I feel like certainly in this history of horror, and I know I spoke to my friend about this recently, Steve, and we're saying like he misses out some big chunks of really important horror history in that, which are mainly British ones. But yeah, I like Eli Roth's films when they're big and silly, like Thanksgiving. I'm not a big fan of Hostel and things like that. Not because they're like particularly shocking or anything, but I just find like the kind of grimy, dark period of torch porn era didn't really do it for me. So here we are, we're into the credits. 3 minutes in, we've already had John Carpenter, we've already had Kurt Russell, Eli Roth, and we're getting that spaceship going in. Spaceship. And we're in chapter 1, the origin story. So this is a 5-hour, I'm sure there'll be so much more on all the hard discs I got. This is a 5-hour, 12 minutes and 4-second documentary, and we're in chapter 1. This will be the definitive story on it, I'm sure. Now, I know about the original story of this. This is interesting, John Carpenter's talking about, because The Thing, there's the film that everyone talks about, the old film that he shows in Halloween and things like that. But also you've got the book was the inspiration for Horror Express as well, with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee and Telly Savalas, which is another great film. I love my train films. Night Train Murders is a good one as well, by the way, guys. But Terror Train and all that. But Horror Express is also based on the same subject matter as The Thing, which you wouldn't believe. Other than the body hopping. McReady. Why is it not McReady? No one's ever asked that. So they've got the writer here of the sequel. What did you think of the sequel? It's not something I've ever revisited. I've watched it once. Also, big thank you to Jenna and the team over at Creator VC for letting me see this screener. Also, all of the, other things that they've helped me out with, all the little clips and videos and artwork. Absolutely loved being a part of this. This is so cool. think they did the Flash Gordon documentary, didn't they? Creative VC, which is one that possibly might have been was it that first one? I remember buying that. Flight the Navigator. Did they do that one? Which is we can't see, but I've got a Flight the Navigator poster right there. So we're talking about kind of real historic sci-fi fiction here. I love all this kind of thing. This might be for you if you really want to go into the lore of this. And here's Guillermo del Toro, who I mentioned earlier on. What did you make of Frankenstein? I thought it looked great. I thought Jacob Elordi was very good. But again, it just passed me by. I don't think it did. Costume did it win for costumes at the I'm gonna say the Olympics, at the Oscars? I think it did. We've got a bloke here who wrote a book about this. Lovecraft. Of course, we're mentioning Lovecraft. There's some Lovecraftian design in this for sure. Oh, we've got Isa Lopez, showrunner of True Detective Night Country. I've not seen that one. I remember watching the first True Detective and enjoying that. There's too many things to watch these days. It's really tough, isn't it? Chuck Russell, director of The Blob. One of the Blobs. Yeah, H.P. Lovecraft. Interesting, kind of big old racist, and also, enduring stories. Love Reanimator, the film version anyway, and the story, and the Herbert West story. But yeah, I don't think I'd want to go for a beer with him, but his stories are good. Now, I watched a film recently where they were out in the snow. I think it was an Ernest Borgnine film, and they were trying to work out who was the person, not an alien, but they were trying to work out who was stealing money or who had, they were all killing each other off bit by bit. I don't know if it was money or some sort of nuclear thing. Can't quite remember what it was called, but it was apparently like a very expensive film. I'm sure somebody will tell me what it was called. I can't remember now, but they're out in the middle of nowhere, popping each other off, and then killing each other to until one or two are left at the end. Other than the alien side of it, in a way, quite similar to The Thing. What was that Ernest Borgnine film? Some really big names in it. It felt a bit like one of these around the time of Poseidon Adventure, where it's a massive cast, but in this case, it wasn't a disaster. It was more like trying to work out who it was who's a baddie. Oh, and here's Clark, Richard Masur. Mazer. I think Kurt Russell and John Carpenter just such a great combination. You have actors and directors who work well together. De Niro and Scorsese. They kind of have these go-to folks. Kurt Russell. If you remember, I think it didn't. He's only maybe a certain amount of years away, maybe less than 10 years from the computer wore tennis shoes Disney guy to being like. This helped him become a lead guy, I think. There's Frank Darabont. We're discussing The Fly and Cronenberg's take on it. It's 86. Who Goes There? Maybe I should read Who Goes There. He's a handsome guy, isn't he, Kurt Russell? He's always had good hair. Wish I could have hair like that where I just go and it's like, this is my hair for today. No one in his family's going bald. Yeah, didn't... Oh, yeah, Kurt Russell played Elvis in a telefilm. I remember that. Or did John Carpenter do that? Or am I getting confused? I remember my Auntie Jean watching. She was a big Elvis fan. I remember watching the TV movie of Elvis. Huh. So we're talking about kind of intersections between Friedkin, Tobe Hooper, and John Carpenter in terms of similar projects not getting done, working together. That's really interesting. Such an amazing time, wasn't it, for creative um, directors with new ideas, like brand new, like Toby Hooper, brand new idea. Obviously, either based on real people or based on a book, but still, it's the first time they've made a film of. Well, I was going to say The Thing isn't really, is it? But it felt like definitely not. There wasn't a Thing franchise. Let's put it that way, and there wasn't an Ed Gein franchise. There went on to be Texas Chainsaw franchise. I love the second one, but what I'm saying is it felt like movies came out and they weren't necessarily directly linked to another thing you had to have seen first, and then you were locked in for another 6 years of that expanded universe. Quite nice, really. Talking American Werewolf in London. Just referencing films of the time and different companies and projects that they were interested in, like Paramount were into the Bad News Bears with Walter Matthau. Yeah. So Bill Lancaster, who's Burt Lancaster's son, he kind of helped a lot of the way the characters talk. He scripted a lot of, the kind of irreverence and things like that. That's really interesting. That's something I maybe have heard before, but I totally forgot. Talk about the editing as well. So we really are going, as people like to say these days, going granular into this, and that's fascinating. Like I say, I'm not going to give you every single thing that they say, but I do think it's interesting to kind of see the DNA, the connective tissue of this movie. If any film is interesting for emotional reasons, history of film reasons, a film that has gone full circle from disparaged to loved, then this is one that's worth doing it. I mean, from John Carpenter's point of view, this must be so strange to there be a documentary that's full of all these luminaries talking about a film that you were just like tearing your hair out about. So, you're kind of talking end of the 70s, early 80s, things that changed the way we think about film that we're still referencing now. Alien, Hello, my baby. Hello. Yeah, there's a little clip from Alien there. And here's one of my favourite creators, voices in horror, Mick Garris. Just such a great person to listen to, so knowledgeable. Shame his podcast isn't on anymore. Such a great guy. Just seems like a lovely human. Could be wrong, but just seems like a lovely human. So we're at the script element here, or the script time parts of the film. But I mean, we're only like 13 minutes in. There's so much information I've found already. That's interesting. We're in the development process, of course. What were your thoughts on Escape from New York? Were you a fan? I know a lot of people didn't like Escape from LA. Escape from New York, I had a friend who was obsessed with that film, like the music and everything. I think John Carpenter, whatever his last movie, whatever happened on that last movie, he cuts out the bit that he didn't like, whether it was the studio involvement or certain actors that were a problem, and he just goes, right, never working with those people again, and then it certainly did, like brings himself back, sort of reaffirms himself, gives himself a bit of inner strength, and then goes and makes something else, just holding on to the things that worked. You can kind of see that progression. That's really fascinating. Incredibly short film, wasn't it? The first Alien. The difference between Alien and Aliens is really different, but they're both great films. But the first one is just like so influential on the way sci-fi, serious sci-fi looks. So is the second one, but more in like how action sci-fi. I suppose it's like the first one's like horror elements. So, like I say, if you have a look in the chat, in the comment, in the description, there is a link. The flash sale for the digital version is on tomorrow, so feel free to use my affiliate link. I'll always give a chunk of that to Mind, the mental health charity, or the Christie Cancer Charity. I give a monthly donation to them depending on what I make from any videos and bits and pieces. I've given some to Centrepoint as well in the past. I'm hoping to do some screenings of my own documentary, and maybe hopefully get the rights to Troll 2, get an introduction from Darren, and we can show our Troll 2 documentary and really get some people, lots of people involved. I know I've got one in the works, hopefully Wigan Cult Film Club, and I'm looking to do some around Cumbria, maybe even venture down south at some point and do some screenings there. Make some money for the Christie. They're an amazing charity, amazing place. They've done some incredible things for my family. Mind, I just think, education and support for people, mental health issues, so helpful, so important these days, all the time, always has been. And Centrepoint, times are hard and not everybody's fortunate enough to have a home. So I'll try, and whatever, for example, I made just over £20 from the last Thing campaign, and a big chunk of that went to Mind. Let's see how much, or more than half of that went to Mind and the Christie. Even if I have a month where I don't make anything, I'll still make the donation anyway, because I think it's important, and I'll just kind of, as much as I can afford. Here's the burning opening, the bit that I think most people will know is about that kind of, is it like a plastic bag that burns for the credits opening? So good. Hello, doggies. Don't shoot at the dog. And we're on to chapter 2. First goddamn week of winter. I do like cold weather better than I like warm weather. However, because various different things, I'm very welcoming of this year's sunlight. Mainly because I've had so many problems with my house out here on the coast. You get battered. And it's just nice to have an airtight, watertight house now where I can go and sit in the garden and get some sun. Also, my dog is getting older and she does like the sun on her bones. It makes her feel better. She's like a little lamb when spring hits. So we've got the helicopter part. We're taking this sequentially through the film, from pre-production through to creation. And Stephen Colbert talking about the soundtrack and the helicopter part matching so well. I mean, it is. You could talk about every element of it. It's so mad that people didn't. It's so mad that people didn't really click on to this film instantly. But then again, like a lot of things, if you hadn't seen them, they're new. Then like new is bad, or different is bad. It's not. This is not Star Wars, It's very different. Alien's more dystopian, I feel, than Aliens. Yeah, Larry, I agree. Yeah. I feel like it's more cold looking, like the lens. It's almost like, I'm going to say it's documentary, but it feels clinical. And the second one's like more robots and guns and shooting, and it's great and like visceral. Whereas the first one's more scientific. This is a kind of combination of the two. There's action in this for sure. Not action like spaceships shooting at each other. you could miss the spaceship if you're not paying attention in this. But then there is action, but there's more. It's more like a dark game of Guess Who, with incredibly written, interesting, differentiated characters, and beautiful to look at, some really iconic lines. It looks great. Everything about it is so it grabs you straight away. It's really compelling. Yeah, survival horror. Yeah. And I guess that this is survival as elements of horror in there too. Um, the special effects, as always, practical effects are just so good. I mean, I feel like I'm just one of these many 40-year-old guys who's like, well, why don't we just have practical effects for everything? Like, yeah, totally. But I mean, I'm not against CGI. I'm not against these things. I think it's just what we want is we want something that feels like it's really being touched, like it's really gooey and it's really bloody and it's real. Obviously, it isn't the aim for you to believe the film. So if we can do that in a way, because like Event Horizon has a nice mix of the two, CGI and practical. So we can do that. I mean, I guess it depends on money and stuff like that. I just sometimes things just feel so cold and soulless and not grounded in feeling like you could believe it. I'm not saying like you're watching a Quantum Mania or something, Ant-Man, and you're thinking, I need to believe that I could really be there. But like, it just feels like you're watching like a theme park ride or something. Like it's just moving wallpaper that looks nice or interesting, but it's like not. You don't feel like you could. You can't anticipate or kind of imagine what it would feel like to touch those things because you know they're not real. Whereas in this, you're like, it feels like you go and put your finger into something, you know. Like somebody's coughing and you feel like you're going, you know, like. It's people always talk about the ages, don't they? Like I'm probably older than Brimley is in this. I'm definitely older now than Kurt Russell was in this. Looks like Jesus in this picture they're showing him here. He looks like McCready looks like Jesus. But he's had to like obviously you have to in these places. You have to grow your hair and your beard out, protect yourself from the elements. Also, if you're there for a long time, you've not got a hairdresser. You've not got someone. It's like remember what we all looked like during COVID. I let somebody at work cut my hair, and oh my word, and it's never been the same since. Like kinks in it and all kinds. Ping pong table there. Amazing, isn't it? Whenever we're in danger or whenever there's a serious situation, we roll out the ping pong table. We roll out the table tennis. I remember in school during COVID, we got the table tennis table out. All the kids were playing that when we were in our bubbles and our sanitize your paddles. What whiskey does he drink, McCready? Is it J and B? And here we've got the pin board with the red string on it, which has become a bit of a meme in itself, hasn't it? But love his, you put in your ice. Yeah, it's J and B. Putting his ice cubes in his J and B. You still got to have your ice cubes in. I know when I went to a whiskey, I went on this whiskey thing. It's a bit different kind of whiskey to what Americans have, but I went on this whiskey thing, and the guy was like getting this pipette of water that's deionized water or whatever. Just put one drop in it to open up the flavor palette or something. It wasn't really an ice related thing. I don't know if I'll have that kind of whiskey if I'm having like a whiskey sour. I'm not a big fan of your sort of American Southern fried whiskey. I like your Scottish whiskies. I like the things that they have, up here, as old as possible and just warming, nice feeling. I think if it's kind of sweet flavored, like your JD or Jim Beam and things like that, maybe because I had them when I was younger, this made me sick. Like I just don't do it for me. I certainly wouldn't mix whiskey with Coke because that smell just knocks me sick. That kind of vanilla-y smell doesn't work. But I'll just have whiskey on its own. Tiny drop of water maybe. Got loads. I've got so many in my cupboard that I've had little bits of, and then I kind of had a big gin and rum period, particularly Salford rum, the different ones. The honey one I just finished of there, the honey Salford rum's great. The dark spice Salford rum's great. The original white one is so good. The bottles look so beautiful. I would share one of them with McCready if he asked. Yeah, of course he was in Elvis with John Carpenter. You know, I think Kurt Russell's just talking about his relationship with John Carpenter here. I mean, McCready's a bit of a Han Solo, really, isn't he? You know, it's kind of cynical, cool, doesn't live by anyone else's rules. Somebody has to step up in these situations. Somebody has to go, right, this is what we're doing. You're either with me or you're not. Like that is really realistic. That has to happen. You know, which character would I be if I had to step into this world? That'd be interesting. You know, I always felt like my brain traits, the way my weird brain works, and certainly in education settings, I always felt like in a crisis, I was able to kind of ad hoc risk assess everything, kind of scan the situation. I guess some of that's just through conditioning and doing the job for so long, but like I feel I'm good in a crisis. I feel I'm good in probably better in a crisis than I am in a minor situation. So I don't know if I would be McCready, but I'd certainly be somebody's. I'd be a good right hand man. I'd be like, I wouldn't be, put it this way, I wouldn't be Picard, I'd be Riker. But then again, Riker's more like your classic leader and Picard's more cerebral, so that's not a good example. I guess I'd be more. I wouldn't be Spock to Jim. I'd probably be more like Bones McCoy kind of person. Yeah, yeah, I accept it. Yeah, and I guess that's like what you're doing as well. You're kind of you've got to be logical and you've got to be analytical and just like this is what we're going to do. Regardless of you can't just suddenly become nihilistic and be like, oh, we're all gonna die anyway. What's the point in doing anything? You know what I mean? There's definitely a kind of pull yourself up by your bootstraps you've got to have from certain characters. Yeah, there's like a beginning where they're kind of trying to work out why people are hiding and different things are going on and they shoot. It is a bit like a western at the beginning. There's so here we are. Which wow, I've watched nearly half an hour of this already, and it's just flying by. Fascinating stuff. I really hope you enjoy it when you get your copy. Chapter 3, Outpost 31. Outpost 31. Yeah, wasn't the music great in all John Carpenter stuff? I remember a couple of years ago I posted on Facebook is that John Carpenter was playing in Manchester and I was like, does anyone want to go and listen to his music with me? I don't really want to go on my own. And there was no takers. Most of my friends who love horror are in other countries. Oh, there's a couple, but there's one down in the south of England, which is too far, and I've not got any like massive horror friends really. I've got people who will tolerate certain things and go with me. It was really cool to see the Wigan Cult Film people when I went down to Festival of Film. Me and Rick went and did the Wicker Man tour together. That was really cool. I'm hoping to do something related to Jaws, like a tour. I'll talk about that a little bit another time. Yeah, Larry, it's been really like obviously I'm watching it and reacting to it at the same time, so I'm going to watch it again, and that's why I'm only going to watch the first maybe hour to 2 hours of this on here. I do want to just kind of sit down with some whiskey one evening and just watch it all the way through. That would be absolutely amazing. Yeah, I wonder why whiskey is such a, well, I guess keeps you warm, doesn't it? That's the reason. So here's TK Carter. I've seen pop up in quite a few things actually over the years. He sadly passed away. It's really cool. He's got his he's got his roller skates on. I love. Somebody said this recently. Like now, every character, in most films now, it has to have this really deep backstory and reason for the things they do. Sometimes it's just good to have a film where people are who they are, and we don't need to know every single tiny minute detail about the reason that they are what they are. They just like there's films with bad guys and they're just bad guys because they're the bad guy. And it's the same with like, every character is like, you'd watch something like RoboCop and you'd have like a guy who chewed gum. You'd have a bad guy in the group who was a laugher, like you'd have a guy who, you'd have distinct things. And that was their little trait. And that was it. That's all we needed. Like in The Exterminator or something like that. It's just it was more fun in that way. I feel we've gone too far down the route of what's my motivation. Well, your motivation is like you like beating people up. Like it's just yeah, it's talking about how each character here has an agenda, a personality, and they kind of stick to that. It's not like we're finding out about their childhood. We're just we've got it's very clear, but also the personalities are also little clues to whether we think they are, whether they're the host, and that's really interesting as well. It's like it basically becomes like a big game of like an Inspector Clouseau, not Inspector Clouseau, Poirot. Like it would be, or for those people these days, like a Knives Out kind of thing. These are classics. Ooh, what's talk about Marlon Brando for? So we want to. Oh, interesting. So we're going down the potentials for different characters. People put it this way: a lot of them are people he's worked with before that he could trust and like working with. I won't say anything more than that. Interesting if Brando would have been in this. Can you imagine the cast being trapped with Brando in the middle of nowhere in the freezing cold? It's like the polar opposite to Richard Stanley's experience with Brando. Because really, by this point in the 80s, it's not the Brando that I think is the greatest screen actor of all time. It's the Brando who's like Mr. Dummy Cards and big paychecks. Wow, look at all these names. I'm not going to say who they are, but like the names of the potentials for this film. He's like, you've got the opportunity to go for some huge names here. So, well, we know who got the film. You've seen the film. It's Kurt Russell's McCready. Keith David, who I just think is great, but also so good in Community as well as Elroy. You know, it's hard coming into a thing later on. So many. So once they opened up to the studio, kind of saying, you know, these are your some of your potentials, it goes a bit like you could name anyone. Do you know who would have been really, really good on the headset, on the mic with the curly hair? Whose name totally escapes me. Just said it a minute ago. I've forgotten. You'll be screaming at me. How good would it be? You're doing a modern version if that was Jason Mantzoukas. Recast this modern day. Just I'll be honest with you. It's probably going to be the if they were remaking it now, the lead would probably be that Running Man guy. Who honestly, I think he's okay, but he's just not got that charisma. I just can't think what he's called. I mean, I've forgotten his name. No, they're really trying to make him a thing now. He was in the Top Gun movie. Jeez, what was his name? Oh, blimey. Glenn Powell. It'd be him, but really, you'd need somebody. Who could be a so hard. Who could be McCready in 2026? We're talking a bit about the effects work now as well. Rob Botton. Rob Botton's so young when he did this, insanely young. It's great. Special effects artists of this time are still the best special effects artists of all time. You're talking, you know, makeup artists and special effects artists. You're talking all the way through sort of the mid to late 80s. You're Screaming Mad Georges and Yuznas and people who did all that kind of stuff. And just so many of them. The Savini, all of them from the late 70s all the way through to the mid 80s. They still are and still stand out as the best makeup and special effects of all time. I think the most interesting casting of this film is Wilford Brimley, who I keep people saying, and a lot of other people say as well, is like I think I'm older now than he was in this. Yeah, Wyatt Russell, good point, Larry in the chat there, Horror Cat Dad. Yeah, go and check out Larry's page. There's so many YouTube channel. There's so many great things on there. But Wyatt Russell was interesting. He wasn't that bad. I've only seen him in a couple of things, but yeah, Wyatt Russell would work. I love the way Keith David speaks. He's like that, you motherfucker. He's like that. He's so good. It'd be hard casting it now. I'm trying to think. Who is the Wilford Brimley of who is the Wilford Brimley of 2026? Who hasn't got like ice white teeth and a hair transplant? You know, can you imagine Wilford Brimley? He's just like had the glow up, gone to Turkey, got his teeth done, got his hair done. You never see any bald people in films now. You never see anybody with wonky teeth. It's just like you don't see anybody with like a weathered look. They all look like they should be in films, and they are. Voodoo bullshit. It's true, getting that chemistry. And I know every time you hear about people going, you know, auditioning for things, I was at this chemistry read, that this chemistry read. If a chemistry read was so accurate, then they would all work. Because you watch films all the time and you think, those people have zero chemistry. And it's just, sometimes it is literally just pot luck, I think, when you're in the situation and they're doing it, and you just see them, and they're like, these people all bounce off each other perfectly. And that also includes the people filming it and shooting it. And I imagine getting that feeling of camaraderie with everyone who's involved. Same goes in any team situation, I guess. It's like football, you know. Everything's like football, but it's like football. You know, and in any situation I've ever been in, like the best leaders I've worked with and the leadership I've always tried to show has been like, I will do anything that anyone else would do. There is no one on the roster, no one is in the, you know, who has a role that isn't important. Therefore, they will all be spoken to as important members of the team, no matter who they are. And because if you don't, it won't work. Somebody will call you out, or something will crumble, or someone will let you down, and you'll deserve it. I'm talking about filmmaking here, not the team of people actually in the film. But just general, really. This is my experience anyway in going up, assessing people in leadership roles and giving out awards and things like that for leadership. There's definitely brave choices made, but it's also like you bring everyone along with you. You know, if you're getting to the top, you're pulling them up behind you. And it sounds really twee and really, what's the word? Like cliched. But it's true. You know, as soon as you start competing with the people who are your peers, it's how you do that as well. It's like, of course, you want to get better because they're good. So you should want the best people around you to make you better. That's not necessarily competition. That's more like mentorship and learning from other people around you. Like if I was on a film with somebody like a great director or whatever, my aim is to learn as much as I can from that person and, you know, support their vision, and that'll make me better. And you see why these filmmakers have their core group they bring along with them. They help them realize that vision. Carpenter had so many key people, you can just roll their names off. So many people have done that. Argento had his group. Has his group. It's funny, whenever there's a dog appears on screen, my dog comes up to check on me. Hello, Marcy. It's funny, the people learning who are doing the interviews are learning things as they're being shared with them while they're making the doc, which is really cool. Like even the most intelligent, well-read people are going, "No way! That could mean that." Obviously, there's lots of. This is one of those films. It's so loved and beloved that you get fan theories and you get, you know, I mean, and that's what because there's a massive mystery element to this film. Of course, you're going to get people with opinions, and that's what helps things have its a longer life, you know, ultimately. If there's no discussion points about your film, then it's probably not going to have that sort of second, third, fourth life of different generations come into it if everything is just cut and dried and nice and clear. Yeah, it's interesting. Do you think, like, I mean, the substance we can talk about, but like body horror, of the fly and this kind of thing that you see here with the sort of, is it is there are the people making these? It's just there's so many, and am I just missing them? Like, is there a somewhere there's a Frank Henenlotter making loads of films like that I just don't see because I used to go into a video shop and those were my selection of things to watch. Now there's like a billion things, a billion Kickstarters and a billion Indiegogos and YouTube videos and people making films because it's easy to do. Am I missing them or am I just revisiting the ones that I love, you know? Like for example, a film that I revisit a lot. It's a very, very different tone to this one, big silly one, but you know, is Terrorvision. And what I love about Terrorvision, all those amazing designs by Beekler, you know, and you know, the creative and again, like talk about Henenlotter. Oh blimey, I'm throwing throwing VHSs around. But this feels, in a strange sort of way, it's hard to believe that people didn't catch on to this, because I think it's, in a lot of ways, it's not like a gross out film. Like, it's a proper film with tension and lets things breathe. It's shocking to think that people didn't connect to it as much at the time as they do now. It's shocking, really, to believe that. But then it's never going to win. I mean, you might have a bit more of a chance, but it's never going to win the Oscar or anything like that. So it falls between two stools. It's not like a video nasty kind of film that people are going to seek out for vicarious thrills and naughtiness. And it's not going to win awards for high art and things like that because it's seen as a horror and it's seen as from somebody who's famous for making horror. So it doesn't get that kind of push. If it came out today, I mean, compare this to Weapons, compare this to Sinners. It's an eminently better film. Those are fine films. They're like, for me, both of those films are like 3 out of 5 films. This is like, 4.5 to 5 star film. And I'm not the biggest fan of The Thing in the world, but I think objectively most people would say that. But this would never get nominated for an Oscar, would it? And Frankenstein got nominated, and it's so and as good as some of the art stuff is, and some of the acting, it's so forgettable. It is so forgettable. The Nosferatu, and I didn't get nominated for much, but the new Nosferatu, forgettable. This was proved it's not forgettable because we were watching a 5-hour documentary about it in 2026. I guess if we're watching a 5-hour documentary on Weapons or Sinners in 2046, then I'll eat my hat. I'll apologize. Recommend this because I'm kind of just what I'm doing. I'm kind of scanning it and taking on board, but I don't want to ruin it for you. But I just keep making little notes and thinking, oh, I can't wait to just sit down. I'm going to watch the whole thing this evening. I'm going to kind of sit down with a beer and just take this all in. But I wanted to kind of let you in on that, what I really think about this initially. Oh, great! Interview with Dean Cundy as well here, and how he would move people through the environment. Yeah, that's another thing as well. You watch the camera movement and the use of the space, and also light. You never once watch this film and think it's too dark, which it could be. And there's so many films you watch now and it's ridiculously dark. In fact, I was watching one last night and I thought, oh, well done to you. And this is going to sound insane, but I was watching Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and they were using the lights from the car to light up his silhouette. And I was like, that's really good. Like, you've got to use the limitations to your advantage. So many times, how many times do you watch a modern film, you put it on and you got it on your TV and you just can't see what's going on? You might go, oh yeah, well, Matthew, a lot of this, there's a white backdrop. Well, no, a lot of it is inside. And the way they keep the camera moving, the way they point the camera at the right things and they light it the right way is not to be underestimated, because if it was that easy, everyone would do it. It drives me absolutely freaking bonkers when so many films you can't see what's going on. No, we're talking about in detail about the dogs now. That's quite interesting. Okay. So yeah, you obviously couldn't just have wolves and huskies and stuff. So they got kind of like crossbreeds that looked certain ways that they were more manageable. Oh, such a gorgeous dog. I love dogs. I'm a dog person. Don't get me wrong. However, there is an advantage for me having a Springer Spaniel that if she does something she shouldn't be doing, I can just pick her up and put her under my arm. I'm not afraid of big dogs, but I don't like the idea of a dog being so big that if I just go, no, knock it off, it goes, do you know what? I'm gonna challenge you on this one, Matthew. That's how I feel anyway. Yeah, yeah. One bit I do like about Sinners, Larry, I loved which I thought was really original and really well done, was the music part, the sort of history of music and the DNA of music. I thought that was really well done. A lot of people didn't like that and thought it was kind of stood out as a bit jarring, but I actually thought it was brilliant. The music in general was very good. The performances were great. Michael B. Jordan's a movie star, like a proper movie star. Um, but like in terms of Ryan Coogler, Fruitvale Station, what a great film! What a great film! Huh. Kurt Russell and the dog. Little anecdote about the dog and Kurt Russell. I'd expect him to be a dog person for some reason. He just strikes me as a sort of a benign dog person. It's hard to say though, isn't it? Following the dog and from the dog's POV is quite interesting as well. How they did that. Oh yeah, of course. I was just thinking, why was I thinking of Stevie Wonder? I forgot that he's TK Carter's cooking and he's listening to Stevie Wonder, Superstition. That might be my first memory of music might be hearing that song. And the shadows, yeah, the use of shadows, that's really interesting. Oh, what I like here is that there's some of the, I won't say who, but some of the people collaborating on this film are discussing it with each other. I like that in a documentary as well. And not, you've got to have a mix of talking heads and two people kind of having a little bit of a bit of a back and forth about something and sharing their love of something. I think that helps. You've got to be included, feel like you're included in the conversation a bit more. Mm. Being able to like really break down the specifics of, oh well, that shadow, can't be this person, but it might be that person. I think it's fascinating that for sure. Yeah. Again, some of these things that people might be talking about as really interesting plot points and things like that might be a bit like the ghost in Three Men and a Baby, where it's just like, yeah, it's a standee, or it's a like it's just a like an urban myth or legend that people have added to it because they love the film. Which is weird because, to completely digress, I loved Three Men and a Baby as a kid. Absolutely loved it. No one ever talks about it anymore. It was such a mega, mega, mega hit. It made ridiculous amount of money. A couple of films I've been thinking about recently, either from childhood or more recent times, that people just don't talk about anymore that were really popular or really critically acclaimed. And it's just like, that's mad. Like, we're always revisiting these, but we don't revisit these, but they're so good. Perfect example, one of my favourites was, I think I've still got the VHS of it somewhere. In the Bedroom, Nick Stahl and is it William Mapother, Tom Wilkinson, Sissy Spacek. What a film that is! And it was nominated for 5 Oscars, didn't win any of them. I would say it's better than A Beautiful Mind, that won everything. Not as showy, not as Oscar baity. And I do rate Russell Crowe and company, but yeah, man. In the Bedroom, what a film! And it's so, you're on the edge of your seat, and it feels so real. What a film! I think I've got the VHS of it somewhere, or maybe I've got like an X, what do you call it? X rental Blu-ray or VHS, DVD. Trying to work out now. People are trying to say, does John Carpenter know the answer to, the sort of mysterious questions from the film? And a lot of people are like, yeah, of course he does. He just doesn't want to tell you, which is perfectly on brand, isn't it, for John Carpenter? Thank you to everyone watching over on Instagram as well. I really do appreciate that. It's something that I know it's not ideal. I've got like a kind of slit of my face and things like that, but I do appreciate you watching over there. I'm just trying this out. We're on to chapter 5 already. Just trying it out and just trying to connect with people about movies and have a chat with them. Hopefully point them towards some of the people that I've been interviewing recently are just, their stories are incredible and they deserve to have some eyes on them. So certainly the interviews with Brian Muir, who sculpted Darth Vader. I've got Hugh Ross coming up, who's in so many great films. Nightbreed being one. But yeah, if you want to check those out, feel free. They're over on my YouTube. If you want to point me in the direction of things that you're doing, people you're interviewing, clips you're talking about, movies that I'm talking about, you're talking about, just connect and we'll have a chat about it. It's one of the absolute privileges of being able to be on the internet, isn't it? Being able to connect with people who are going to expose you to interesting things that maybe you've forgotten about or never heard of. You might meet some lovely friends as well. I've got some lovely friends in the chat. Like, you wouldn't think that years ago, would you? You can meet people online and actually be like friends with them. That'd be like a warning video or an after school TV show or an online safety video. But please don't just make friends with everybody online. That's not a good idea. Not everyone. But not you. You're great. So we're talking about the schedule now. How to film things, like different phases. Can't believe I've watched an hour of this. It's just absolutely flown. So I'm like a fifth of the way through this. And you just know with these creative VC projects, you're going to get hours of extra things and so much cool stuff. They're thinking of doing, for people who like the digital ones, you can get like a flash drive of it, but it's in a little box for the next ones they're going to do for the 70s ones, which I don't know if you've done the same where you've sent in your suggestions of films. I tried to go for ones that nobody had already mentioned or weren't in the pack of information that they gave me. I thought go for something a bit different because I get on my soapbox and I always think about Norman Warren films and Pete Walker films, that kind of that period of time British horror that get critically ignored. I love John Carpenter's sense of humor, and I mean, I guess you get to a certain age as well where you just say whatever the fuck you want, which is great. And I feel like I'm getting there myself. Not like I'm rude, and I don't think he's rude as well. I just think he just says what he thinks. He's just like, yeah, I don't like that, or that's great, or whatever. I mean, I think you just become so relaxed and less concerned with the thoughts of, what if people like me? Then you can kind of let go of that a bit and be like, it's so. I always try and think that as I get older, what I want to do is still be open to new things and still also say, like, that's not for me, but that doesn't mean I hate it or I hate you. Like, I just don't happen to like that thing that you like. And I think that discourse, being able to talk about those, it avoids us getting in a echo chamber of just people going, do you like this? Yes, I do. I like it too. And then they meet somebody who doesn't like it, and then they just can't connect. They can't speak to them. that is how we grow and learn. It's like, I might not like it, I might not dislike it, it's just different, it's not for me. That's okay. Like, just people kind of, oh, you don't like this, you don't like, why don't you like this? I'm like, you're not going to batter me into submission to like something. It is, it's almost like art is subjective. Oh, most things are subjective. Jeez. Like, that's the whole point. There's like a big menu of things for you to enjoy. Like, it's okay if you don't like the thing. That's alright. I don't hate you. I love it when they go into the sort of abandoned frozen bodies and cuts in the neck and all those stuff is so good. There's got to be, I'm sure there is, there's got to be a great coffee table book of art from the thing. My back is killing me. Got a new nice chair as well, it's just I can't enjoy it because I've hurt my back before I got it. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Influences by people like Goya and Francis Bacon. I only know about Goya, and my wife studied Goya at university, so therefore I study Goya a bit as well myself. British Columbia. And another place, I'd love, love, love to visit Canada. Somewhere I've just dreamt of visiting. And the proper cold bits as well. I love to go to like the Calgary Stampede. Again, a lot of this stuff, the practical stuff, is really interesting. Like one of the things here, talking about, well, I won't say too much, but like where the guts came from. He's got a bit of a look at his video. He's got a bit of a Farrah Fawcett flick here, Kurt Russell. I never really thought about that. He would have made a great um, Charlie's Angel. Like, if you think, I mean, how different is McCready from old Jack Burton? Not many actors can do that. If this is, I'll just pick a name out of a hat. This is like Clooney, then he's Clooney in this, and he's Clooney in Big Trouble in Little China. What would they live been like if it wasn't Roddy Piper? If it was, um, if it was Kurt Russell? Hmm. Kurt Russell was in every single John Carpenter, what if he was in The Mouth of Madness? Sam Neill's so good in that there. Yeah, so they're kind of talking a little bit about here about the similar, kind of, is there a connection with Vietnam? Obviously, a lot of the people making films in the early 80s have got this connection with Vietnam. I've talked about this before many times about films like I Spit on Your Grave and some of the early Wes Craven films. It's kind of dealing with the idea that man's inhumanity to man. We did those things, like those weren't just left where we did them or we saw them. They're still in our minds and not been dealt with. There's no kind of way of dealing with the horrors of it. And that creeps its way into art. And I think you could argue definitely there's, once you think of it like that, you could see that in this as well. And you open up the thing, it reminds me a bit of is it National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation where they open the turkey and there's nothing inside it and it just stinks out. It's like rotten. That happened a lot in 80s stuff. People cut down the middle and something goes opens up and then steam comes out and everyone's like, ooh. Yeah, it's just flying by. This is so interesting. It'd be interesting for you to watch this, find out all the different things that they made stuff out of. Watch the documentary, get back to me, tell me what you thought. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Yeah, the split head is iconic, isn't it? That I've seen a few versions of that people have made. Isn't it amazing how films like this just inspire other artists to make versions of them? And you know, you go to these conventions and there's just something that looks exactly the same as something you saw in a film. I love getting something that someone has made by hand themselves, rather than like just like a 12 pop vinyls. I know I do have a few pop vinyls left, but just little things that people have made, like it's completely different, but like somebody made this Groot out of wood. I just think it's really cool. Like, how could they get the look in his eyes so good? Um, this is one I got from of Harry from All Over the Horror. Just look at that. He's got the benign quality of Harry in that. So good. Just I love things like that that look. Oh man, I don't know. It's just something special about it. Oh, cool! Referencing Basket Case. Nice. We're really getting arty with it in this. This is good. I like it. Was it people say like getting granular? Greg Nicotero. There's a lot of these folks, these special effects folks, gotta have the long shoulder length hair and glasses. Got the glasses. Maybe I need to. I couldn't do it. My hair would just go fluffy. I just look like that kid who's not getting his hair cut until Manchester United win 5 games. I just look like him. And big hello to all of you who have either watched or disappeared and tuned in, gone, what the hell is he doing, and then left. But hi to Scottish Geek Guy who watched earlier on, and Mark Silk, Another Last Shot, 35mm frames, movies with Ryan, lights, camera, reels, and my good friend Live Style Rewind. Hope you're all doing well today over there on Instagram. I love all the fact that we're going really digging into the practical effects side of it now. Of course they're going to do that, aren't they? But like, it's who's talking about it that matters, number one, and how they're talking about it that's so fascinating. Like, the art references. Like, I don't know art, but I know what I like. Like, I can't draw a stick man, but I love learning about other creatives and how they come up with things, what they're inspired by. It's like listening to a song and then working out the DNA of that song. Chapter 6, it's weird and pissed off. Story of my life. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that was. I mean, it's interesting as well because I think every character has a beard, don't they, in this? So you could make this film, do a great job, shave off your beard, and people might not remember it was you, other than Kurt Russell and a few other like more well known. Just talking a little bit about casting now. I like Clark. I thought Clark was a good character. He only cares about the doggies. Well, the fact you know, in the 80s, you wear glasses, you get a name like Windows or double glazing, four eyes. You're getting a name like off your main feature that you have. Specs. Brimley. Brimley is. Was he? Brimley was in Batteries Not Included as well. That's another one that It's probably going to be a heartbreakingly sad one for me to rewatch because it's got that Spielbergy melancholy. But same with Cocoon. I don't know if I would want to watch them again because I'm too soft now. When you're a kid, you're just like, I'm going to live forever. When you're watching an old person in a film doing old person stuff and accepting their fate, then it's a little bit different when you're in your midlife. I've been hoping I'm in midlife. I don't know. So we're really going into the makeup effects now. And that's where, there's a lot. The yeah, Stan Winston and Rick Baker, people like that. Like, man, America, North America just smashed it out of the park. Yeah. I was never that big a fan of American Werewolf in London, but there are some moments in that, the nightmare, the transformation, the cinema stuff. Like, there's some great bits in it. Not a big fan of the person who made it. But... I imagine it filmed in John Carpenter's home here, so he's got like something behind him there that is quite interesting. I keep trying to make out. If you want to learn a little bit more about sculpting and some of the great sculptors, for example, working alongside Giga, then please check out my Brian Muir interview. He talks about sculpting things for all the Bond films, a lot of the Bond films, the first Darth Vader mask, some of the markings meant on the initial stormtroopers. The guy is just like a living, breathing history of some of the greatest things. The Ark of the Covenant, the big, massive gong from Temple of Doom, so many things. Willow, just it's like this really in the sense, except these people are maybe more celebrated, but like there's just some incredible work been done by sculptors over the years, and if you check out Brian's interview, you'll find out. I wonder. I mean, I know a lot of stuff got dumped there, but I'd imagine a lot of the things that are people are having the pictures taken with things like that kind of made their way back to the workshops of the creators, or certain people kept as souvenirs. Somebody was making my head and then stretching it all out. I would probably say, do you think there's a possibility I might have this for my office? Yeah, Rick and Rob Bottin, the idea of like, being so young and it just kind of giving him that advice, but just going off and doing these things. Rob Bottin, amazing. Bottin, uh-huh. He did, he smashed it out of the park. The thing as well that's interesting is you're not like you imagine when people are making things for the thing, they're making these things inside like some igloo, but they're making them in like lovely warm California and then moving them to the sketches. I love seeing sketches of things as well, like storyboards and ideas. And oh man, I'm just so jealous of people who can draw. These technicians and effect people, just so good. Mm. Well, thank you very much for all those people who joined me. I know it's a bit of a strange time of day. I'm probably going to go for a little walk in a while, but please make sure you comment what your favorite moments from the thing, or what you're interested in seeing in this documentary. Ask me any questions. I can kind of give you some non-spoilerific information. And again, there is a link in the description. The sale starts tomorrow. If you just want the digital version, then do so. Now's a good time. Help me out a little bit. Help out the charity. Help out the thing. I think my donation to Christie's coming up soon, so I'll adjust that depending on what happens with this. Yeah, I really appreciate that. So might as well. Obviously, if you can afford it. If you can't, that's okay. If you're just watching it with me and watching some clips. If you go back to some of my other videos on The Thing Expanded, there's lots and lots of clips there for you to enjoy related to The Thing Expanded. Totally free. There were actually quite a lot of people watch them, so if you search by most popular, it'll be down. It'll be probably the easiest way of finding it. Search by most popular on my lives. And most popular is Bonkers. Is watching Rosie Dixon Night Nurse, and watching all my 70s sex comedies seem to be really popular. Most popular. The Thing is up there though. People seem to like me talking about The Thing, so I appreciate that. And I like hearing from you as well. I really do. There's a lot here about Rob Botton, and I imagine that is because he was so integral to what they did and really stepped up. Rick Baker was just not available, and they were like, "We got this younger guy here with lots of talent," and the guy just ended up being a genius. That's interesting. Yeah, the link in that some of the comic art as well. And in a way, this does naturally kind of feel a bit like a comic book. You could see this as a graphic novel, not Walking Dead style. Oh, my back. And I guess when you're doing these storyboards and sketches and things like that, really what you're doing is you're doing panels. Yes. Ah, okay. So published some of the storyboards already, so that's pretty cool. Poor doggies. Yeah, that mutation and that sort of timeline and jumping from one thing to another is really, really well done. Interesting to follow. I love how there's always English people involved in this thing. We seem to just find our way into the sort of the technical side of making movies, English or British folks. Taxidermy, interesting. And people used to like, their dog would die or their pet would die, and they'd stuff it and keep it in the house. It just isn't something people do these days. Why would you? Why would you want to do that? That's so insane. It's like, oh, my grandma's died. Oh, don't worry, I've stuffed her and put her in the. She's in the living room. I'm not even a big fan of really of any taxidermy, really. Even little birds and bits and pieces. It's just not for me. If you had your whole house filled in it, then I'll be concerned. Hydraulics. Huh. Hmm. I just love the fact that they're like, so how are we going to do this? Right, we're going to have to get lots of pumps and hydraulics and, you know, taxidermy, and we're just going to have to kind of think our way around this problem. Think our way so that whatever we get on screen looks like this amazing drawing that someone's done. That's crazy. Hey, John. So if you want to check out the Lost Frogs comics, guys, brilliant on Instagram and TikTok, and at Johnny5 on YouTube. First viewing of the film was on VHS tape recorded by my dad the night before. And it was too late for me, and I suspect perhaps I wasn't quite 18 at the time. However, the VHS tape was on top of the machine. And the next morning, my dad left a short note on top saying, if you watch this, make sure you have a spare set of underpants. And you watched it anyway. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what film had that impact on me. There was definitely a Cronenberg film I saw that had that. There was one where someone was like ejaculating and it was like red and white blobs. And I feel like it was a Cronenberg film or something similar to that. Maybe it was the one with Jeremy Irons as twin brothers. I can't remember, but there's definitely something I watched and I knew instantly that I was too young to be watching this, and it freaked me the hell out. Yeah, of course you watched it anyway. Yeah, I definitely had those moments. I had to be really covert to watch anything that was not appropriate. My parents were pretty strict when it came to that kind of stuff. So I just found different ways of like how to walk on the steps, going downstairs the bits that didn't creak. Watching something really quietly, pressing record on something, and going to bed. Just yeah, became a bit of a sneaky boy. Trying to think what sort of films I would have done that for. I guess when I was older, things like Basic Instinct. But in terms of films I want to see, maybe like Terminator. I remember being lent Terminator from a very permissive friend's mum and watching it, and instantly the big sex scene came up, and my mum was watching it with me. She was like, "Whoa!" Or we watched. I remember one that was traumatic. We watched Beverly Hills Cop, and it was the "fuck you, motherfucker," like editing fug, kind of edit with Melon Farmer, kind of the BBC version, and I was like, "Oh, it's great." I asked her to get me Beverly Hills Cop 2, put it on, and it was like the full sweary version, and she was just like, "Oh no." Yeah, I think swearing in front of ladies, or just yeah, it's funny. My dad worked on building sites and did was in the army and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, at home, it'd take a lot for him to swear. Yeah, it's funny that, isn't it? Just a different generation. Yeah, taking things back. It's nothing worse, is they? Taking things back like that one, that Beverly Hills Cop 2. I had to then wait a good few years to watch the full, the full thing. Yeah, parents would just whip that off. There was a study done about video watching by a guy. I'm trying to remember what his name is now. I filled in the form and I was in his. He was like professor, and it was really interesting. It was like kind of the impact of what we watch when we're young and things like that. It's fascinating. I read his whole study. To try and remember what it was called. I think he might be making it into a book. It was out of a university somewhere. It was very, very scientifically based with a few. There was maybe, I think maybe one of my quotes was used in it. I think there's a lot as well related to like religion and what people were, you know, people were like, and if they were maybe not necessarily the most religious people, but they still went to church on Sunday, then they might be a little bit more pious when it came to like language in films or sex and violence and stuff. Funnily enough, I always think like violence is the one that's accepted the most, which is just so weird. Even in America now, like, even like relatively modern times, the furore over someone showing a nipple at the Super Bowl compared to like what's acceptable in the violence in movies is just a bit crazy, really. We can destroy a human body, but we can't show one. So we are up to nearly an hour and a half into this. And what are we on now? Chapter 7? 6? Don't know. Got Brimley breaking those chapter 7, Brimley breaking those things like he's breaking a big lobster leg. The second autopsy, chapter 7. Oh, here we go. Literally, our author's just said what I said before. I'm older than what Wilford Brimley was. I mean, some people. I mean, back then, the reason that people looked older at the ages is a lot more people smoked, a lot more people drank, and people just didn't seem to drink water. I mean, drinking water is your main thing. Like, it's almost like a lifestyle choice back then. If you drank water, it's like, what are you drinking water for? Like, getting my dad to drink. My dad's 90. Getting my dad to drink water is like literally like getting blood from a stone. Honestly, when he drinks it, he looks 10 years younger than he looks 80. He looks 10 years younger than his contemporaries when he's properly hydrated. It's insane how simple it is. I guess we exercise more, I don't know, or different kinds of exercise. Most jobs aren't as labor intensive. But Wilford Brimley, yeah, been in a lot of cowboy movies. But also, we sometimes our body types they are what we are, we don't get to see a lot of those differing people, shapes and sizes, unusual looking, in films anymore. Like I said before, people in films tend to look like movie stars, and people tend to look like people, and we don't get to see them very much in films or in big films anymore. Like, it wouldn't be Wilford Brimley, it'd be like Pierce Brosnan or somebody now. Sandra Bullock keeps out of the sun to return. Maybe, yeah, maybe. But you need some vitamin D, is it? E, the sunlight. Mad to hear somebody say Will Brimley. So he's like a proper cowboy. Had horses and everything. Horse boy. Oh, I love these little anecdotes. They're great. He seems so happy to be talking about The Thing here, Kurt Russell. Maybe he was just waiting for somebody to say, hey, we're doing a documentary on The Thing, and he's like, I'm in. It wasn't like a massive get in terms of like loads of convincing. I don't know. Maybe it was just literally like, oh, finally. Like I say, I'm not going to watch the whole thing with you. I'm not going to stream for 5 hours. But I'm definitely going to watch this. We've watched an hour and a half of it, and I'm absolutely loving this. I can't wait. I think what I'm going to do, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to start it right from the beginning again because I've been talking through it, and watch it. Will I watch it this evening? Maybe. We'll see. Maybe. We'll see. I'll definitely try and watch it soon. I'm trying to get all my fun movie related stuff done before exam season. And then I'll be out of action for a little bit, and then I'll be back with a vengeance. But again, I think there's, from what I've read, if you use my code tomorrow, even if you absolutely hate me as a human being, which is fine, you can get some money off by using my code if you want to just have the digital version of this. It's like a flash sale, as they say. It'd be great if I could be like, use code Matt for, man, it doesn't work like that. You just follow the link. I'm not going to be selling Blue Chew or mattresses or I would do HelloFresh, and the reason I do HelloFresh is I've started using HelloFresh and I've really enjoyed it. This is free, by the way. I'm not sponsored by HelloFresh. I'm not a big creator, so I'm not going to be. But I've really enjoyed it. Yeah, and we rank the ones that we like, and we try and have a different thing every time. It's great. It'd be hard to get it delivered out to the outpost here in the thing, though, I must say. Same with takeaways, Just Eat. No point sponsoring me talking about the thing. Are we going to get it delivered? Coming across in a little moped across the ice. Survive and thrive. Yeah, can you imagine how many planets has the thing experienced before it got to Earth? That's an interesting question. 12. No, I don't know. Oh, we've got an not an astrologer, that's like Russell Grant. An astronomist? An astronomer? Astronomist? Is astronomist a word? Of course, yeah. You're talking chameleons and things like that. What we're talking about here. I love how he talks about it. He's learned loads about it, Brimley. He's literally just experienced this for the first time, and he's like, so what we're dealing with here, with authority. My dog is currently digging up the bath mat in my bathroom, which is freaking me out, because I was like, what is that sound? Marcy? Marcy? What are you doing? No? So she's like, I need to go for a walk. She's getting antsy. Or she's currently a host for an alien being. We'll find out. I love the detail, the scientific detail we're going into here. It's so funny. What are you up to? Come here. Take you a walk. This is what I'm having to deal with. Bossy doggy. Just collapsed next to me. Mad that you wouldn't have pegged Stephen Colbert as like a massive Thing fan, and the fact that he's gone like, yeah, I want to be in your documentary. It's pretty crazy. I mean, it's not like horror fans look a certain way or John Carpenter fans look. It's just, I don't know. He seems like someone who's really interested in like studying the Beatitudes or something rather than studying John Carpenter. Chapter 8. What's chapter 8 going to be about? I love the sombrero, by the way. It's great. Chariots of the Gods. Oh, we're going spaceships. Spaceship! I think. Man of action, McCready, always putting his jacket on and going off to investigate. Hmm. I think I'm definitely a cold weather person. I've always liked the snow and stuff like that. But does it change as you're getting older? Like now I feel like I'm looking forward to it getting a bit brighter and a bit warmer. Maybe that's just because I'm getting older. I don't know. I've always really enjoyed wintry weather. The Norwegians. The Thing from... Do you know, I don't think I've ever seen all the way through The Thing for Another World. I probably need to, I think. What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you conking out? Straight to Antarctica from outer space. Do you know the power of being an editor in a film? Like, you just wouldn't want to leave anything out that's, really tricky. Having said that, though, if it's a bit like editing writing, and I've done some editing of writing, I really enjoy it. Like, I feel like I'm quite good at going, that needs to go, that stays, that goes, that stays, and like very, very precise. I imagine it's just the same. They'd probably just have quite an analytical eye, just like I would for writing, they would for the visuals. Like that needs to be in. We'll fix it in the edit. It's showing the similarities between The Thing from Another World to this one. Huh. Do you know what? I need to watch it. I wonder how easily it is to get hold of. I should do a duo pack of the original and this. Oh yeah, there's so many similarities, it's crazy. Homage to Hawks. Homage to Ox. Howard Ox. Well, somebody did find it. They're talking about it. So I'm sure somebody found it because that's where they got all these props and things from that they're showing it. You can go to. John will remember who's in the chat. He was at the same one as me in Manchester, where the guys had all the props from the set of The Thing. I think what I'm going to do there, I am on 1 hour 40 of this because I'm in danger of starting to spell it out a bit too much. But from what I've seen and what I'm looking forward to and what I've read, I really, really highly recommend this documentary. I mean, for fans of the film, there's nothing better than having 5 hours of something to watch. Like, we were so lucky, really. I mean, back in the day, if I liked a film, I'm not going to be able to find a massive documentary like that readily able to just tap into and watch. Like, and even until the advent of the internet, we couldn't really find out a lot of stuff. I mean, people used to call me, used to go, "Oh, you're IMDb," because like I know all these films, and not that I do now because I can't remember anything, but film stuff. Well, it's just because I was poring over the trivia sections of IMDb, and that was the best we could do. So if you love The Thing and you've got a little bit of cash and you want to make a bit of a saving, check it out on this. If you don't and you just enjoyed chatting with me and you chatting about The Thing, then thank you for doing that too. I really appreciate your time over on Instagram, on YouTube, and it's just been an absolute lovely start to the day. I'm going to go and take my dog for a walk. And thanks again to the people Creative VC. And again, you can rely on the fact I will not recommend anything on this channel that I would not want to own myself or have an interest in. It's just life is too short to be going, hey, check out this crappy thing that for a couple of pennies, like it's morally wrong. Cinema attractions, yeah. Used to be was that really late at night? I think that was really late at night, wasn't it? I used to watch the other one as well where they'd show clips of things, movies, games, and videos with a guy. Was it Steve Priestley? Maybe I'll try and find him and interview him. Well, yeah, somebody's done a new version of or an online version of Videodrome, like in the style of Videodrome, called Videodrome Rideau. And the guy's done a really good job of that. He did a Dead Man's Shoes video the other day that I thought was fascinating. So yeah, thank you so much. Please check out anyone whose name you've seen come up in the comments on the stage. Please check out John's channel and Larry's channel and Ash's Antics and anyone else that's popped up. But also those people over on, if you see them in the also watching along in Instagram, go follow those. Anyone in the comments, let's connect and talk about movies. That's one of my favourite things to do. So have a great rest of your day and enjoy yourself. And thanks for chatting about The Thing with me. I really enjoyed showing you my... No, I won't say that. I enjoyed talking about The Thing. And thank you once again to the people at Creative VC. You've done another fantastic job. Trust me, if they hadn't, I would have said, really interested in the 1970s In Search of Darkness. Can't wait to see how that goes. Hopefully they took all my suggestions on board. And they'd be mad not to. Okay, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.